We have as our guest tonight, very special guest, Luis Talamentes, affectionately known by us as Bato. Bato Talamentes is a longtime prison abolitionist in the Bay Area working with the Prison Focus Organization. Bato was also a defendant as part of the infamous San Quentin 6 case. The San Quentin 6 case were 6 inmates at San Quentin State Prison in California in 1971. Bato, along with Hugo Yogi Pinell, Willie Tate, Johnny Spain, David Johnson, and Fleeta Drunko were accused of participating in an August 21st, 1971 escape attempt that left 6 people dead. That included the assassination of revolutionary prison organizer George Jackson by prison guards. Drunko, Talamentes, and Pate were found not guilty of all charges, including counts of murder, conspiracy, and assault in his state-sponsored railroad attempt. Bato and myself, we go back some years through my work with the Coalition Against Police Abuse and with the late Black Panther, Michael Zunzet, and my involvement with the Pelican Bay Support Committee, along with the late Gaisi Sawande. Bato continues to be on the front line as a frontline prison abolitionist. So we want to begin with the case of, well, before we do that, welcome to Message to the Grassroots, Bato.
All right. Glad to be in the house.
It is an honor to have you here.
The Message to the Grassroots, because the message today is revolution, as it always been for the imprisoned class. And we acknowledge all the political prisoners that have been fighting 40 to 50 years.
Free them all.
And many of them have died inside, like my comrade Hugo Antonio Pinell, assassinated by the state of California, August the 12th, 2015, at New Folsom State Prison. And we say free all political prisoners before the state of California.
Free them all.
Kills them all. So we say free all political prisoners. So glad to be on the show. And so what it is.
All right. So we want to begin with the case of John Clouchet, who is approaching 75 years of age, I believe, and who has been granted parole by the California Department of Concentration Camps and Torture. For many of our audience who may be too young to know who John Clouchet is, John Clouchet was one of the defendants, along with George Jackson, Fleeta Drunko, in the infamous Soledad brothers case. John was one of the trio inmates in Soledad Cane, again, who became a high-profile defendant and known as the Soledad brothers. On January 12, 2018, this year, the California Board of Parole hearings granted parole to John Clouchet. However, supporters of parole for Clouchet are concerned that California Governor Jerry Brown will reverse the board's decision and Clouchet will not be released. Supporters have a reason to be concerned. After all, this is exactly what happened in 2016 when Clouchet was similarly granted parole by the board, but Governor Brown chose to reverse the board's hearing. Why did Governor Brown deny parole to 74-year-old John Clouchet? In our interview with Bato, you shed some light on that.
I would say that John Clouchet, as having been one of the Soledad brothers from back in the days of revolution, prison revolution, Comrade George Jackson, I would say that the name John Clouchet is a hot button name, and it's all political. And as you said, he was denied parole 2 years ago. Likewise, other notoriously or so-called infamous prisoners also get denied regularly by Governor Brown. And I would say that it all has to do with politics. They're political prisoners by any name, and that also there's another prisoner, Rochelle Sing-Q McGee, also, who fits into that whole picture. And of course, there was Fleeta Drunko, rest in peace, as one of the Soledad brothers, but also having been my co-defendant as one of the San Quentin 6. So that whole era of revolution is a hot button issue, and the governor will not release any of these prisoners. We have time and time again have petitioned also for the freedom of Chip Fitzgerald, the longest held Black Panther Party member here in the state of California. He predates quite a few of these other prisoners and goes way, way back. And likewise, his case has been shot down by Governor Brown. So It's just like I said, it's just a hot button issue, but I think that the people need to continue to make as much noise and organize around these so-called infamous prisoners who, to a lot of people in our movement, of course, there are icons, are heroes from past and present, and John Clouchet is the least well known, but still because of his association with Comrade George Jackson. And the day that Comrade George Jackson was assassinated there at San Quentin Prison was August 21st, 1971. And on that particular day, I was in the cell next to John Clouchet. I was in 1AC9 and John Clouchet was in 1AC10. When the revolution, the half-hour revolution adjustment center exploded, just suddenly, there's a lot of questions of conspiracies within conspiracy concerning that particular day. But there's been a lot of books also that are written, so I would suggest that our listeners go to Soledad Brothers, the book with the letters of Comrade George Jackson, also Blood in My Eye. Gives in-depth from inside the walls. It gives an in-depth view of what those times were all about. But those times still live on to this day, because even today, the mention or even a picture or a drawing of Comrade George Jackson on any prisoner's wall will automatically get them sent to, solitary confinement. Because, like I said, the revolutionary icon and Governor Brown has all this pressure by law enforcement that is on him, and was the reason why the San Francisco Panther 8 were re-indicted after 40 years, because Governor Brown at the time was Attorney General, and so he had the law enforcement that he had to throw some meat to every now and then, and so as long as he can throw him a well-known political prisoner or someone that's inside, they go with that. But he has to give him something. A lot of times he's sacrificed these really well-known political prisoners, like my comrade Hugo Antonio Pinel was so close after almost 50 years of continuous imprisonment. He was so close to freedom, and boom, he was set up and he was killed.
Right.
So there's a long bit of history there, that among other things that are happening within the prison industrial complex here in California. California leads the nation, if not the world, in the industrial build of the prison complex. And so within these confines, we have numerous unknown prisoners, the mass incarcerated prisoners that we want to give representation to, and that's what California Prison Focus does. We don't get stuck on one particular name or political prisoner or not, because they themselves, like Hugo Antonio Pinel said, don't focus on me. Don't focus on me. Ruscell's the same way. Ruscell doesn't want anybody focusing on him that much. They want the revolution, the prison revolution, the changes that are needed. They want them to continue, to advance the struggle. Because we're at the bottom rung of our so-called social order at the bottom. And if the prisoners way at the bottom won't fight, then society dies. Its spirit dies, because at the bottom is where the spirit clings to struggle, clings to life, to survive. And for every one or two people that can survive, there's hundreds and hundreds that are perishing within the confines of the prison industrial complex. So hey, that's what we say.
It's just striking, this whole issue about Governor Brown not signing his parole release papers in 2006, and the threat of that happening now. And the reasons he gave back then was because John Clouchet was associated with the Soledad Brothers, right? This prison group. But Clouchet was acquitted of all charges by an all-white jury. So that doesn't stand. And going back to the San Francisco 8 case, which I was a part of, Governor Brown used that case to run for governor. He got money from the correctional industry, the CDC and the guards unions, and two of the brothers I know, Hank and what's his name, and I'm working on that case, and we saw that the city of San Francisco threatened to sue him because it was a bogus case, and they, after all,
Bogus case.
and two of the men who have been tortured in Louisiana. We're going to get back with part 2 of this interview. We're going to take a pause.